guys, thanks for tuning in. I'm Adam Ingram,
I'm Lindsey Church.
and we're Exoaura. You asked a lot of great questions in our Q&A, so we picked out a few of our favorites, and we're going to answer them for you today.
All right, first one comes from Brian Ginter. He wanted to know if we have any gigs lined up. Brian, great question. Right now, we're focusing on writing our debut album, so we don't have any gigs planned yet, but as soon as we do, we will let you guys know for sure. All right, next question comes from Vanish Cheshire. She wanted to know, what emotions do you hope people take away from the new album? For me, we're at a huge turning point, not just in the country, but in the world. And it's a time when we become very divided, whether it's through politics or religion, a lot of fear-based sources. And so I hope to evoke some sort of unity, some sort of peace and unity as far as what we're putting out there. Adam?
Yeah, kind of comes from our name, Exoaura. Just kind of being outside of that element. That there's so much focus on negativity and hate, and the media chooses to put that out on Front Street and leaves little room for beauty and positivity and harmony. So through the lyrics and from the musical instrumentation and orchestration, I hope that people can see that there is still good in the world, and then there is hope for the good to really flourish. And the next question comes from John Church. He asks, how many tracks went into Reverence? Including effects channels and buses, you're looking a little over 35. And you have the next question?
Yeah, next one is from Kathleen Parr. She wanted to know how much awesome sauce I put into my lyrical recipe. It's a technical question. Yeah, it's a lot. For Reverence, it was a 1/4 cup. But for the album total, I plan on using 16 ounces or more, and also have a special blend of Kick-Ass coming your way for the whole album too. So,
love it. Joe Scar wants to know what current metal bands we're listening to these days. There's a lot. You know, there's Born of Osiris, After the Burial, Meshuggah. You know, a lot of great gent bands, if you will. For those who hate that term, I'm sorry. Those are the first that come to mind. There's also an Upsastry, there's Mekina that I just found, or Mekina, sorry if I mispronounced it. If you haven't checked those guys out, do it, it's really good.
Yeah, I listen to a huge array of styles, but as far as metal goes, I listen to a ton of Tesseract. Also Korn, I get my fix of Slipknot now and again. Also Monuments is a really great band. If you don't know them, check them out for sure. All right, next one comes from Crystal Rosalie. She wanted to know if she's invited to go backstage when we go on tour. Yeah, of course you are, for shots of tequila and horrible inside jokes that we probably shouldn't make. Yeah.
It will cost you 12 Pikachus and a Mewtwo, though.
Yeah. Pokemon Go. Okay, next one comes from Vanish Cheshire again. She says, what bands would make up your dream tour? That one's easy for me. There's a lot of good ones out there, but it's still an easy question for me. Tesseract, of course, Carnival, and, of course, Tool.
Well, that's tough. Dream tour, you know, there's so many artists out there. You know, when I think of the greats, you know, obviously One Direction, Justin Bieber, you know,
Biebs.
so many.
He's a believer.
I'm a believer.
Yeah.
Yikes. But then I would say Cell Dweller is on the top of the bill. Victor Wooten is just, I can't get enough. And then, of course, Tool always gives you quite an experience. So if I could put them all on a bill, I'd be a happy camper.
Yep.
And then the last question we have here is from Chris Campbell. He's asking us to please describe in detail what your rider will look like when you make it big. For those of you who don't know what a rider is, it's a set of requests or demands that a performer sets as criteria for a performance. So I really thought about it. You know, I want to make sure I nailed this one, but it's really quite simple. It's just, what do I want? You know, as we arrive to the venues, to the hotels, as soon as the doors open, I need to be greeted by Batman.
Yeah.
Who is serving me with a shot of Patron and telling me a fresh Chuck Norris joke.
One that you haven't heard yet.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But as I'm taking my Patron enjoyment, he has to vanish like he does in the movies. If he fails, then we got to do it all over again. So
Yeah, it could be a project. For me, I mean, I'm a simple girl. I like to keep things simple. First and foremost, I definitely need Chef Gordon Ramsay to try all the food that I'm being served before I eat it, and then he has to yell at everybody if it's awful, especially if it's raw, and you know, use the F word as many times as possible, which I don't think is a big request. Really, I don't. Second of all, when I get off the tour bus, I would also like to be greeted with a shot of Patron, but instead of Batman, I would like it to be Superman, because then we can finally get to the bottom of who would kick whose ass. And I just feel like that would be a really good way to start off a show too. So, yeah. All right, guys. Well, that's it for us today. Again, we are Exoaura. Thank you so much for your support and your questions. We will post more soon. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.